Daily Broadside, day 483. So I'd said a few weeks ago, I was talking about my relationship with my next door neighbor growing up, Mr. Clark, who was, as I defined, a Dennis the Menace and Mr. Wilson kind of relationship. Well, Clark's been dead for a long, long time, but his wife still lives there. And when I went to my parents' house, what is today, Friday afternoon, to spend the evening and into Saturday, I had an occasion that I didn't think would ever happen. I got to go into the Clark residence. Now, I was clearly never invited into the Clark residence because there was a very much, like I said, a hate-hate relationship. But she tells me, my mom says, hey, Mrs. Clark had a lightning strike and her TV and an outlet and the ceiling fan went out. Will you go over there and look at it, see what we can do? And I was like, yeah. So I brought my electrical bag with me and went over there, and I was just so excited that, we've lived in that house since I was like a year and a half, 2 years old, maybe. So my like entire adult life, I've never been in a house, and I've always wondered like how it was laid out and, what it looked like and all that stuff, just, whatever. Because all these houses were built in like the 60s. And so they're kind of, they're cookie cutter, but they're different floor plans, but they all look the same, they were decorated the same, that kind of stuff. So I go in there, right? And I'm checking every outlet just because I'm like looking around, and I'm actually trying to find a GFI outlet to see if that had tripped first. And so I'm going into like every room that has water, and I'm looking for GFIs and everything, and I don't find any because the house has not been updated since the 60s. But it's hilarious because it's exactly what I thought it would be. Just doilies and like little glass bowls full of candy, and even the glass candy that you don't eat. Or, you can eat it, but it would tear up your insides. And, you got like, what is it? Like little knickknacks everywhere. She collects everything, right? Pink carpet, the tile in the bathroom like goes up the wall like 4.5 feet, and it's kind of like a peach. It's so 60s, right? But it was like, I was like, I can't believe that this is what I've been missing my entire life. I had no idea. But so that was cool. But we got to the root of the electrical problem. That was the bigger problem, or the bigger issue. But more to the point, I got to explore something that I'd always wondered what it was, because they just never invited me over. And I'm gonna tell you something about Mike Pence, okay? Mike Pence needs to get out of this damn Republican race. This dude doesn't have a chance in hell. And I'm taking away what he said last week about how he apparently doesn't care about anything but Ukrainian weapons, about the American people and all. We'll just take that off the table. The dude is a complete loser. He is the most milquetoast person I have ever seen, or I have seen in politics in a long, long ass time. You know what I mean? He's just so boring and offers nothing, has no personality. He's a good speaker with regards to getting his message out. If he stays on his little talking points, he speaks very well. He's very, eloquent in that sense. But the things that come out of his mouth are stupid. The content is dumb, but he says it well. Only because he's a, career politician that's just trained himself to say the same talking points and be a talking head, for himself, like every one of these other dudes are. But here's the thing, right? Like, number one, I don't want a milquetoast dude for president that only has seen Missionary. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a reverse cowgirl president. That's what I want. I want somebody who's, told the girl, hey, why don't you face the other wall? That's what I want in my president, right? And Mike Pence has never done any of that, right? In fact, it's probably for Mrs. Pence. I don't remember her name. The second lady? Is that the vice president's wife? Anyway, whatever she is, she probably would get improved, with the reverse cowgirl action, because then she doesn't have to look at Mike Pence, you know what I mean? But here's what I like in this too, right? Mike Pence, he's got Vivek, whatever his name is, who's an interesting character. Obviously Trump, DeSantis, you could argue RFK is taking some of that action, but he's so far behind all those people, everybody in that race, right? That it's not even a chance. It's like, I liken it to field day in elementary school. Remember that? So in my elementary school, everybody, as I recall, got to be in 2 events, right? And it was up to the teacher, I guess, of each class. And then, I'm going back 30 some years, trying to remember this, but I think it was up to the teacher of each class to say, all right, Vinny, you're in the tug of war and the sack race or whatever, you know, and everybody would get divvied up into whatever. And you could kind of, project yourself, hey, I might be good for this event or whatever. And the obvious picks were obvious. But when you got down to the end and you're like, man, I got to find something for Brian to do because Brian sucks at everything that's athletic. So they stick Brian in like the 100-yard dash. And everybody's like, why is Brian in the 100-yard dash? He sucks. And he's going to get decimated by the other 5 people because you know who the other 5 people are. You know, you've already seen the list of the other classmates from the other classes, and you're just going to get destroyed. And everybody's like, Brian, man, you're not going to win us anything. And then Brian's over there like completely knowing his limitations at age 11, you know, basically going, why am I in the 100? I suck. I'm going to get destroyed by these other 5 people. And he does. He, you know, it just bears to the truth that when it happens, the other 5 people just smoke him. Yet he's still in it. He doesn't give up. All right. And that's kind of what Pence is doing, right? Speaking of, we had a girl, you'd always put your biggest, strongest people, not always your strongest, because, you know, fat people aren't necessarily strong. They're just heavy, right? But you would always put your biggest people in the tug of war. And at the anchor, right, the anchor of the tug of war, we had for a few years in my class this girl named Patricia Jones. Now, Patricia she had some mental disabilities or something. So there was something going on. Like, she went to like a special class for part of the day, and there was some I think there was some trauma. Looking back on it, I'm sure there was a lot of trauma in her home and everything. And, I don't think she came from a great family. And it's kind of a sad story, but Patricia was a large girl. She was like 6'1". I don't know how heavy she was, but as I'm remembering it, she's probably like 230, you know, back then. Like, she was just a big kid. She was bigger than all the boys, and she was always our anchor, right? In fact, we called her the anchor. We didn't call her the anchor. We should have, but that would have been mean. But then we probably would have, just because kids are dicks. But at any rate, Patricia, the anchor Jones, I often wonder where she's at today. But she would be our anchor, because you want to add as much mass as you can. And so she'd get in the little loop at the back of the tow rope that we're using, the C rope that we apparently got off a tugboat somewhere. And all the other, 9-year-olds are like ripping the skin off their hands trying to hold on to this stupid thing. Tug of war. Anyway, what was I saying? But yeah, so then you got like Pence's campaign manager, and you got to wonder, like, why isn't this dude throwing the towel in and going, hey man, you're polling at like 0.5%, you're almost in the integers, we should throw in the towel, you know? But instead, he's probably using the 2 words that would get you fired if you're my campaign manager. Oh, we got a big push coming. We got to get some momentum. We got the momentum for the push and the push and the momentum and the push. And I'm going to push you right off a bridge. You keep saying push momentum. Stupid idiots. I don't like a campaign manager that uses push momentum. It just doesn't work for me. I need you to do something new, something that all the other campaign managers haven't done before. And they all say push and momentum. Well, from me and the anchor, good day, Giddy.